For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. That's right, Joe Castello in the WFO studios following up the NHRA Midwest Nationals at Worldwide Technology Raceway. What a great event. Packed house Saturday and Sunday. Friday we got wet. But in the context of what has happened to so many of our fellow Americans in the South, in the Carolinas, like it's meaningless. Seeing the photographs, and I just want to say right here at the start of the show, I don't imagine that the people who are WFO listeners and NHRA fans are watching their screen right now when they have been washed out. But what I'm seeing coming out of Asheville, it's hits so close to home. Living in South Florida, hurricane country, we know about devastation. We certainly know about going without power for days and weeks at a time. Hopefully those communities will all pull together and come together the way we have in the past. And that's it. And for everybody elsewhere, it's real, it's serious, it's terrible. And you can't imagine what life is like without water or power until you're doing it for 2, 5, 3, 10 days and weeks at a time. And so my heart going out to everybody that was affected by Hurricane Helene. And all we can do is help each other. And I notice already that many in the racing community are reaching out. Many in the racing community are setting up, FundMe accounts and charitable organizations and all that. Of course, I always like to stick to the ones that I know are super reliable or people that I know directly. But they got a tough slog ahead. What we can do here on WFO Radio is just, continue to talk drag racing and be like a town hall, a forum for people to get together and kind of get away from just the seriousness of what has happened in the Carolinas and in the South. And so we're thinking about you. North Florida, of course, Tampa. I have friends in Tampa. Just devastation. 5 to 8 feet of water in your home. Imagine everything you own just gone, devastated, garbage. You got to move out, black mold. It's months and months and months of work. And it's something that, many people don't even consider. We all have the natural disaster in our region that we have to deal with, whether it be, earthquakes, tornadoes, wildfires, hurricanes. But it is just terrible stuff. And the power of hurricanes on display right here. But we're thinking about all you folks on the show. We're going to talk drag racing. We got the voice of NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us not long from now. He is at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We're going to break down the race. Jack Beckman scheduled to join us, and Tony Schumacher scheduled to join us. Jack is working. And he's like, as long as nobody is trapped in an elevator, I should be able to make the time. So I'm letting you guys know in advance. Before we go any further, I do want to mention the people who make it possible for me to do this. This is my business. And folks like Jesse Converters, DPF XVIT for heavy duty and mid-level duty diesel are on board with us, Eric and Matt Latino, helping out, and scan that QR code to find out a little bit more about Jesse Converters. And you already heard a little bit about Total Seal and a little bit about FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. CWT Industries, balance machines. If it rotates, it can balance. Be balanced. This is Randy Neal's company. If you own a machine shop, if you're an engine builder, if you'd like to learn more, maybe you're thinking about replacing the balance machine you've had for ages and ages, reach out to me, Joe at WFOradio.com, and I'll put you together with the folks that can get the job done. Bernie Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com, Bernie Speed Shop in Ocala, Florida. This is Josh Hart's business. Very exciting things happening at Bernie's in Ocala, Florida. If you're looking to do a frame-off restoration, buy a muscle car, an exotic car, just a cool muscle car, go to Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com. Of course, the folks at Foggett. We were talking about Foggett last night. Foggett now in Australia. Yes, Matt in Australia from Torque Calibration Services got to experience Foggett, which is great. FOGGIT.com, available at Summit, available at Amazon, and the racer's choice. You go through the drag racing pit, there's Foggett everywhere, being used for many different things, including protecting your cylinder finish, but a lot more beyond that as well. Later on in the show, we'll tell you about our great friends Marvin Rodak and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School as we get ready for the Stampede of Speed, samtech.edu, and how to become a patron of WFO Radio and be involved with the show, plus our great friends at HusseyPerformance.net, not just Copperhead gaskets anymore. Go to HusseyPerformance.net to find out all the different style of gaskets they're doing. But let's bring on the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, right now following the Midwest Nationals. Welcome to everybody just signing on. We ask you to share the show. Jack Beckman going to be joining us hopefully from maybe inside an elevator shaft. We don't know exactly. Tony Schumacher, the bottom of the hour. We're going to hear from Tony after a tremendous victory. And let's start out right there, Alan. Alan is like re-Xing the show. He's like reposting on shows. He's reposting. You repost, Alan, and I'll put up some of these wonderful comments. Everybody just saying hello to us and happy Tuesday and what's up, WFO Universe. And Bill says, good morning, gents. He knows us so well. Everyone's talking about how fast Jack is and how exciting this past weekend's race was, right? No foregone conclusions in St. Louis.
No, except the Prock Rocket is still the Prock Rocket, and Pro Stock's Big Four are still Pro Stock's Big Four. And I think other than that, it was pretty wide open. You know, Matt and Gage are still Matt and Gage. So there are certainly some constants or some consistents anyway that were put back on display this week, and everybody gets to catch their breath and get down to Dallas.
Are you stealing somebody's car, Alan? Come on. No, I agree. No,
that's my bug guy was, I'm sure, calling to tell me he's coming by to do the monthly bug treatment at my house, and he should know by now I'm not going to be there, so it doesn't make a difference.
Debugify. Well, yeah, the Prock Rocket, right? Like, what an amazing run, the quickest run of the entire season. We saw it in round one, and why not take a shot, right? You've got a free buy run. The track is there. It's cool. The sun isn't out yet. It's behind the clouds, and they threw one down. Unfortunately, that second round explosion put them behind, and just a kind of a chain of events. Austin said that he didn't think that what happened on the burnout with the high RPM burnout had anything to do with smoking the tires. I believe him, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Jack Beckman laid down a pass, got to the finish line, went on and won the race.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that, Austin did not make a full run there in the second round, and Jack did, or in the semifinals, I should say, and Jack did. So, whether or not the burnout had anything, did the burnout do anything to the car? I don't know, but it didn't help. I guarantee you that. One of the things that modern day nitro racing is about minimizing any inconsistencies. You want to do, the same burnout, the same RPM. You want to have the same engine temperature. You want to have everything same. And when something inconsistent happens out there, it can have a ripple effect on some of the other stuff. But the bottom line is, while Austin's string may have come to an end, the JFR string did not come to an end. And it was obviously a very, very popular victory for Jack Beckman driving John Force's car to get back into victory lane. And for those who are curious, and the questions come up over and over and again, from a statistical standpoint, Jack Beckman is credited with the win. He won the race. So it will not be, John Force's 158 or whatever it would be. It's Jack Beckman's 37. But John gets the points. That's just the way that the system is designed to work. Just like when Tommy Johnson won driving Matt Hagan's car in Reading a couple of years ago during the COVID issue, Tommy Johnson gets credit for the race win, but the points are awarded to Matt because that's who Tommy was filling in for.
And I love that. And to me, it feels right. Why would John Force get the win of a race that he didn't run? Beckman gets it, but the points. Beckman is not in the car if he's not substituting for John Force, who started the season in that car as the championship hopeful. And so John gets the points as determined by the rules. I think that's pretty clear, but it's good to mention. Austin is 105 up of Beck Force. 159 ahead of Tasca, 194 ahead of Ron Capps, who was Resurgent, 205 ahead of Matt Hagan. Matt Hagan sounded like, and I mean this in the, he sounded like it's time to work on next year. He said, we need to start testing stuff. His words, not mine. I get sensitive, guys. I would love to speak in really cutthroat, definitive terms, but if everybody loses first round in the next 3 races and Matt Hagan wins all 3 and wins points and a half, then he could make up the ground, right? But what's the math of that? Poker on TV. What are the odds that Reinhart's going to get an ace on the river? And it's like 1%. Yes, I guess it could happen, but it's not likely. So Hagan pretty much, JR pulled himself out of the championship hunt last race with his interview, and Hagan pulled himself out of the championship hunt with his interview on this race. Capps 194 back. Look, it to me, it's a 2-horse race in funny car, and really, like you said, it's still the big one.
Yeah, it really is. And for Hagan, and we've talked about it over and over and over again in different classes and over the years, if Hagan is in second place, 200 points back, and if Prock goes out in Dallas, smokes the tires first round, Hagan wins the race, he's right back in it, no doubt. But you're not going to pass 4 guys. They're not all 4 going to fall on their nose. The Jack Beckman car right now is running very well. It's run very well all year. If it hadn't been for Austin, it's kind of like Eddie Krawick last year, right? If it hadn't been for Gage, Eddie would have won 4 or 5 races. Well, Gage was there, so too bad. But the John Force car has been running very well all season long. It obviously still is. The Tasca car is running solid, but just Prock is on a different level right now. And I think, what Matt said, I think was right. And I think he's being just pragmatic about it. He's not a guy that gives up, but he's a guy that understands the reality of the thing. 4 guys in front of him are not going to all fall on their head for 3 races straight to let him back in. It's just not going to happen. Could they rebound and finish 3rd? Yeah. Could they potentially 2nd? Maybe. But I just don't see all 4 of those cars that have been so good most of the year, and Capps, which is coming back to, the consistency we're used to seeing. Those 4 are not going to all go on vacation for 3 consecutive races.
Yeah. And I think that's just the math of it all. They're getting their opportunities. We talked with Hagan and Tasca on the stage. They said this is great because someone gets to run Prock in the 2nd round. Bob Tasca got to run Prock in the 2nd round. He made a good run, but got outrun. 388 with a 62 reaction time. Then Austin goes to run Jack Beckman, loses to Beckman. Beckman goes on to run Capps. Capps very resurgent, right? Resurgent. They're coming on. I talked to Capps. Capps is like, I just wish we could have had a better car sooner to fight him. And it's looked like everybody is resigned. Everybody but one person who has just taken some time off from working on the elevators to get in his car. He is down there. Let's bring him on. He got the job done. He won his first race since 2020. And now he's right back at work. Talk about the blue collar hero, Fast Jack Beckman. Jack, hello. Do you hear us? Do you see us? I don't think he sees us. He's on the air. I'm going to pull him out just in case he takes his shirt off. Right? Like, what if he decides to do that?
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, it could happen. Let's bring back Alan. Alan, let's talk a little. I'll text Jack what the deal is while you talk a little bit about points and the funny car category.
Austin is the champ. Now back to you, Joe. No, Austin's made one bad run in like the last month and a half, and that's not going to be the beginning of a trend, I promise you. And especially since if you missed the race, as Joe talked about, they blew the thing up pretty big in the 2nd round win over Tasca, and putting the thing back together, something in the throttle stop setting wasn't what it needed to be. Over RPM the thing into burnout, which Austin said didn't cause a problem, but something did. The car smoked the tires. But again, that's one bad run in a month and a half. It's not an epidemic, and it's not going to be the start of the downfall. That team right now has the best car, and they're just clicking. They're not making a lot of mistakes. They're not leaving the door open very often. When they did, Jack was able to jump in and take advantage of it. I think everybody else right now is is pretty much running for second place. However, if I'm Beckman, I'm not giving up yet, but I do think that Prock has the best car, and that I just don't see them stopping doing what they're doing.
All right, so Jack is working on getting situated. He couldn't hear us before. He's in there, but we're just going to leave him up, right? We'll get to look at his wonderful face, and eventually he'll hear us, and he'll just start talking, and he'll be involved. I hear you, Jack. Do you not talk, Jack? And he's gone. Oh, well. Well, I think this is interesting.
I could offer to try to help him, but you know how I am with technology.
With the hammer. You're going to smash it, right?
It works.
It does work. I wonder if he needs to flip over the phone. But we'll get him back. All right, he's back. Like, this is cool. Everybody loves this stuff. Jack Beckman, do you read us?
Yes, I do. This time out of Twitter.
Yeah, this guy's winning races. He's figuring out technology. He's got.
I was so afraid I broke something. Yeah.
We had planned to do a test, everybody, and time got away from us. But look, this guy's at work. We were just talking about your huge win, Jack. Like, what a massive deal. And what do? You celebrate. You're on the early flight out of St. Louis, and you're back to work, just like that, which I think is cool. I think that makes you very, likable and relatable to everybody else who went to work on Monday.
Yeah, well, Monday was a travel day, so sorry, guys. I did take Monday off, but yeah, it's a little bit surreal. You know, for years I worked at the Frank Hawley School and raced, but that was a little different deal. I taught the drag racing classes, and that was kind of in the industry. And now I'm a working class blue collar guy. Like the week after I stopped racing in November 2020. And people mislabel it as retiring. I never retired. I got laid off. We were out of sponsorship. But I went back to elevator repair 22 years away, and they took me right back. And they've been good to me, and I like my job, but I love my weekend job even more.
That's amazing. Alan and I are going to pepper you with questions, but since you mentioned the elevator thing, because I'm fascinated, everybody needs to know. I always ask Jack about this question, and I hope he knows that I'm like genuinely interested. I think this is a really cool gig that you have. 22 years. Were you always keeping up with them? The same management group there? They knew you. It just seems unlikely that the people who hired you 22 years ago would still be there and be like, oh yeah, our buddy Jack Beckman, come on back, Jack. And you slide right back in. That seems amazing.
I hired in 88 right out of the Air Force. I was 21 years old. And then I worked till 98, quit that. Obviously, I quit on good terms, and I stayed friends with a lot of people that were in the field. They'd come to the races and see me. I never thought I'd go back in the trade, and I think I just had to wait long enough to all the supervisors who knew how lazy I was. I retired. But actually, one of my good friends who we worked in the field together became my supervisor when I got rehired. So it's been a lot of full circle moments for me. I never thought I'd be back in a fuel funny car, and here we go.
Excellent. All right. Alan's going to ask you a question later on. I'll tell you about how I hate touchscreen elevators. That's a different conversation for a different day. How about
I thought Joe was going to ask the elevator question that everybody in the history of the world wants to know. The button that says door closed, does it really hook to anything?
Yeah.
It's for the firefighters. And actually that button gets worn out because the people really think it shortens the door open time, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you press it enough times, the doors eventually close. In 95% of the elevators, it is literally only there when the firefighters take control. However, in about 5% of the elevators, it actually will shorten the amount of time the doors stay open.
Well, there you have it.
This could easily
That's all I need to know, Jack. You can go now.
That's about all I know, Alan.
Elevator Talk with Beckman could be very, very popular, but not as popular as Nitro Funny Car Racing with Jack. Okay, so there's all this John Force and the points in the championship, and I do want to go there, but I want to talk a little bit about you. Like, you get the call, very meaningful. We've heard you talk about that, but now to complete this circuit, right, and score a win for the team, for Tim Fabrizi and Danny Hood and Chris Cunningham, the guys that they were running so well and taken out of the game by the incident. Now the team is right back into it to deliver. You were called and you delivered with a win. It's got to be just a great feeling.
It's beyond a great feeling. I mean, it was a great feeling in 2006 Vegas, winning my first Nitro race. It was a great feeling at the 1998 Winter Nationals, winning my first ever national event. And Alan, I don't know if you remember interviewing me on the top end, but it's been a while, and it was kind of cool 26 years later, you to interview me on the starting line here.
It was kind of cool. Of course, I remember that. How could I forget?
Yeah, but go to your question. Yeah, I'm sorry. Nobody wanted what happened to John to happen, and somebody's phone was going to ring, and it was beyond flattering. It was incredibly humbling that after 3 years, 9 months away, Robert and John had enough confidence in me to call me, and they knew the car was good. They knew the team was good. That team's been through hell and back this year. They put together another race car. They learned how to tune around me because John and I are different. Everybody drives different, and they tuned it around me, and the results speak for themselves. That car's been a win ready to happen since I hopped in it at Brainerd.
Alan?
Jack, let's talk about the way that the thing happened. You know, there are races where, you know, you go through the day and just things kind of fall in your lap. You don't really have to do anything, and it just, your life keeps coming on. Then there are days when you wake up and you look at the ladder, and on one side of the ladder, Austin Prock,
Oh my God, yeah.
Bob Tasca, Matt Hagan, J.R. Todd, Alexa DeJoria, you. But I mean, that was a stacked side of the ladder, and you didn't have a pushover all day long. That's got to make it even more special, right? I mean, if you race Joe first round and he runs 12 seconds,
yeah.
you race me second round and I'm shut off on the starting line, the trophy's the same, but the feeling of accomplishment has got to be stronger when you have a day like you had.
We joke about this, right? If 4 people red light against you, they don't give you a smaller trophy with an asterisk, and you get the same amount of points. This win would have been unbelievably gratifying just because of what my career trajectory looked like. But you're right, Alan. When we looked Saturday night at that ladder, I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. 15 funny cars show up. And on our side of the ladder, we've got 5 of the heaviest hitters out there right now. And if you looked at the potential matchups, we knew Hagan or Tasca was going to lose first round. They had to race each other. And we knew if things continued, we'd face Tasca or Austin Prock in the semis. So there's the opportunities that you really need to take advantage of to run for the championship. We had 2 other opportunities this year, and Austin Prock stopped us in both of those. Well, I should say Austin and Jimmy Prock and Thomas Prock and the rest of that AAA Cornwell car. They've been unbelievable. They've been the class of the field, and they had a hiccup against us, and there's no reason to think they're going to do that again, but you have to be able to capitalize on that. And I think having a great running hot rod like ours makes the other cars push, and sometimes it might make somebody make a mistake that they might not have made if they were racing someone else.
Jack, you said some things in the media center that really triggered me, sparked my interest into you as the person. Like, you're very humble when you speak for so many years, driving for Don Schumacher and all those years in your championship. But like this experience that you've gone through, it had to be really tough because you're a qualified driver. You lost your ride because of just the shuffling around of things and COVID and whatever. And then, then you're working on elevators, right? The phone finally rings 4 years later. And you said, like everybody's got an ego. And I wonder in those times where you're going to work every day and you were not making those imaginary funny car runs in your heads that you told us about, that you were thinking like, maybe this thing is over and why get ready for something that I'm not doing anymore? Were you aggravated? Were you a little, I don't want to use the word bitter. Bitter is wrong. That's not the word, but I want to show these guys. I can't wait till I get the opportunity to show somebody what's up, because you're back in the winner's circle now. I kind of want to just take me on that journey a little bit. What it was like being a champion, going back to work, getting the call, winning the race. Like there has to be a part of you that is like, I told you.
Yeah, that maybe sometimes good does win in the long run, that good guys can triumph. Yeah, I don't want to take life advice from somebody who's won 15 lottos and never had a rough day in their life. I want to take life advice from somebody who is struggling right now and tells everybody, I'm going to keep doing things the right way. I'm going to keep trying to better myself and be good to others. And then I want to talk to that person 2 years later when I see that their actions have paid off. So I think I sure hope that didn't come across as conceited. But, going through a divorce, there's a lot of bitterness and resentment and ugliness that comes out in otherwise normal people. And I'm still going through that right now. And I have tried to be a good person, an adult through all of this. And some days it's easier than others, but I had to go back to work. I think the average person might think that we make $500,000 a year driving fuel cars and you can just lay off for a couple years and go hang out at the beach and look for sponsors. It's just not the case. I always mowed my own lawn. I live pretty close to the bone. I've always lived beneath my means, and now more so than ever, going through what I'm going through. So there was a time for the first couple years that I thought, yeah, I think there's a good chance the phone could ring. And bitter is not a terrible word when you use it. When I go to the races at Pomona, I'm still a fan and I still have a lot of friends there, but I also felt a little bit like an outsider. It's very difficult to not feel that way when all your friends are still playing together and the playground gate's locked and you can't get in right then. And man, I hope that I've always presented myself in an adult-like way on this, but I struggle with that sometimes, just like everybody else does. And I think maybe that's a good message for everybody else, that you look at these folks on TV that are doing their dream, driving a nitro car, getting a paycheck to do it. We're normal people too. You know, there's a lot of struggles we go through, and here I am, I'm fixing elevators today. Because I don't know what's going to happen after the end of this year. I'm just so incredibly lucky to get to fill in for John for 8 races, whether it's 8 races or it goes longer than that. Man, I'm smiling. And I was asked in the press deal that you're referring to about, will this give me a better resume for next year for another fuel team? Well, it sure as hell ain't going to hurt. I'll tell you that.
Alan?
Well, I don't know that your resume needed shoring up by any means, but it is nice to have your name back out, you know, in the modern way. You know, I think people have a tendency, if they don't see you on a regular basis, to kind of forget that you're still out there and still looking. So I think that, if nothing else, has got to help. I'm curious, have you spoken to John? And if you have, what was that conversation like after the win?
Just texts after the win, but I got to see John for the first time since his accident last Tuesday, and that was, God, you hate to overuse idioms. It was a sight for sore eyes, and to see him, to get to talk to him in person is significantly different than talking over the phone. And anybody that knows John knows what a John motivational speech is. You know, come on, kid, drive from the heart. You got this. And to know that we're now 1 and 2 in the John Force Racing funny cars, and have a really good shot of bringing him home a championship and a championship runner-up. Whether that's Austin, then John, or John and then Austin, I don't know. And there's a couple other cars that are going to have a lot to say about that in the next 3 races. I loved when Austin was asked by Amanda, does he think he's going to win the championship? And his response was, the job's not done yet. And that's exactly right. We've got 3 more races where, because of what Prock and company have done, it's going to force anybody else who wants a legitimate shot at that championship to virtually be perfect. There's 12 more rounds out there. Because Pomona's 1.5 points, it's going to skew the points a little bit for that race. But man, you might have to win out. Like if you make the final round and Prock's sitting next to you, if you win, you only gain 20 points on him. And that math doesn't work out for anybody out there except for Austin Prock.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw or if it came out on the Fox show, but I noticed it. Normally I shoot a video of the starting line, but Austin Prock was right in the middle of the scrum celebrating your victory. And I thought to myself, and I expected it, but to see it, and I'm looking at his face, you know, like there's the, yeah, good job. And then there's the genuine, like, yeah, we won. And it looked like a we won to me. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Austin has been nothing but helpful. And I hope that he and Brittany think the same of me when they do well. Brittany and Austin both came into the winner's circle there. And I hadn't experienced that at DSR. They're big organizations that were run slightly different. Each had their own great aspects of their personalities. Forces is more like a family deal. And to have Brittany have a rough day and to have Austin go through a rough patch there, but to have both of them come over and be genuinely excited for what we did for Brittany's dad and Austin's boss is phenomenal. To have Robert Height so supportive and genuinely happy for us, it's fantastic. I tell you what, it really makes you want to do it again.
There it is. Alan, final question for Jack Beckman so we can go back to work.
Jack, I know that when you went into Brainerd and in Indy, you felt a little bit like, I don't know if outsider's the right term or not, but even the fact that when you walk up to that trailer that says John Force and realize that, yeah, that's the car I'm driving, that's your comfort level as far as now being a member of the team instead of being kind of the outsider that's just filling in for a couple of races?
everybody on the Peak Blue Dev car, every member of that Chevy Camaro has been just fantastic to me. And I think a lot of that comes from past relationships. I've known Fabrizi. I worked for Chris Cunningham. I've worked with Sterling Van Dusen, who does the clutch. He and I go back to Top Alcohol Dragster days more than 20 years ago. And a lot of the other guys, since I'm outgoing, whenever we race somebody, I go wish their crew good luck. So a lot of them had seen that I was a straight shooter there. They have been amazing. If I have any requests, they are right there. They are so supportive. And I don't know if I'm keeping that seat warm for John, or maybe this is going to turn into something else, but I am just going to thoroughly enjoy the 8 races we've got. And that's down to 3 now, but we've already crossed off that one, which is win a race. And I knew we were capable of winning multiple races. I hope we're able to achieve more wins than this. But there is nothing that makes a team as cohesive as standing there in the winner's circle taking those pictures. I don't care how good you've done it. I don't care what showed up on the scoreboard. I don't care how many great ET slips you have. Holding the trophy at the end of race day is the thing that really solidifies a team.
Amazing. Jack, we appreciate you making the time right in the middle of your day. I'm super excited for you. This whole journey that you're on, and it has been a lot of fun to watch, and it's not over. 3 races to go. Anything's possible. You're, you guys are Beck Force. You're the combination of John Force and Jack Beckman together, earning points for the championship. We thank you for making the time for WFO Radio. Congratulations on this win. And, anything's possible. Good luck.
Oh, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the fans out there. It's been overwhelming. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Jack. Jack Beckman with us here on WFO Radio. There he goes. And just emotional. I feel the emotion there.
Well, that's something that I think, Jack needed, I think, to prove for himself. And that's something that the team needed to prove that we can still do this. We can still get it done. They came out, they've been running obviously very well, but knowing you can do it and doing it are 2 different things. How many times have we talked about that, right? Once you've proven that you can do it, no matter how much you believed it, you knew it, once you've proven you can do it, that's a different thing. And they have now proven it.
All right, let's bring on the other of our race winners in the Nitro ranks. Joining us now, 88 wins, 8 championships, 88 wins. He's right back in the championship fight, Tony Schumacher. Tony, congratulations.
Thank you. It was a heck of a weekend, man, to say the least.
Yeah. I thought you were going to play the guitar for us, man. I saw you with a guitar over there for a second. What was that all about?
Stage, man. I was backstage just getting warmed up,
All right.
Well,
he was. I'm looking at him down there. I was like, this guy's got an acoustic guitar. Is he going to, does he have a victory song or something? But hey, you guys are right back in the middle of it now. Tremendous step forward. And unlike Funny Car, where at best we feel like it's a 2-horse race unless someone stumbles, Top Fuel feels absolutely wide open. Like anyone who is the points leader could be beaten first round of the next race.
Yeah, I think, when I did a show last week and I said it, I don't know who's going to be number 1. I don't know who's going to be number 16, but both are going to be good cars. And look seriously, we had a TJ number 1 and we had a Torrence number 16. I mean, that just, there's no easy anymore. It's insane. It's just tough race. And when you get that win, and they're hard to come by, but when you get that win, it's very gratifying. Like we had to go through a monster of great cars, a whole bunch of them. And in a Torrance final round, you can't really ask for more than that.
Alan?
Tony, I'm curious, were you more nervous first round than you were any other round? First, because obviously first round butterflies, right? You get to think about it all night. But Julie making her first ever start, never had a round win. And, I don't know, you can hate me for this if you want, but I had the list ready to go of everybody who's got their first round win ever against Tony Schumacher, just in case she pulled it off. Do you get more nervous in a situation like that because historically you've been the guy, right, that everybody lights the first light against?
For sure. I'm always nervous first round. She's going to be a good driver, and yeah, people just pull off all kinds of miracles against us. But yeah, when they're, and believe it, I have a canopy over me, but I can hear what you're saying the whole time until they start the car. So I giggle a little bit. When the car starts, I tend to go into race mode. But before that, yeah, it was, you're thinking, geez, this is a good Salinas car. She's a good driver. Yeah, we made it down the track twice, but they're going to go step it up. And then I'll tell you what, man, I hit that gas. It was the most violent tire shake I've had in a long time. Broke all the motor mounts, and had to pedal it twice. So as I'm doing all that, I'm expecting her to just go right around me and run low ET of her career, of course, like everyone does. But I didn't see her. I pedaled it, and we got the job done. But everybody who's doing their first round doesn't beat me. Just most people.
Right. Well, then that's why we made you the marquee matchup, as you probably figured out. Like, I was loving it up there. But there were some cool juxtapositions, though, right? You're like the most regarded top fuel racer in terms of stats, and she's the newest. And we wanted to showcase her, and that thing where people get their first win against Tony Schumacher. It's a thing, right? You handled it real well, though, right? Very professional, very on point in that interview. Gave her a lot of credit. You went out there and it worked out in your favor and set the table for the rest of the day. Walk us through the rest of your rounds.
Yeah, man, having to run, Antron, everyone out there will say the same thing. If you want to win a championship right now, we got to take out the people in the front. And it's really those two guys way out in front. We need to stop them, and they need to go out. And when you get down to 3 races, you need to start trying to line up against them. If you want to be the champ, you got to take out those people. So that was a big run. We had to make a good run. We knew that right lane, I didn't like it as much. I'm glad. I think they put me in the left lane, because I had smoked the tires. I didn't have lane choice. And we felt the right lane at 550 feet had a little more of a drop off. And if you didn't get the car moving fast enough that you could get that car spinning down there. So we got lucky. It's exactly what happened to him. His chutes came out. But it was a great race. Would he have caught me? I don't know. Would it have been a good race? Yeah, it would have been a little better race. But then third round, it gets better. Watching Sean Reed go out there and talk about running someone a lot of experience, but in a boat and fairly new to top fuel. He went out and double balled me, and I thought, okay. My crew was like, why didn't you just step off the clutch? And he would have known what to do. And I said, well, what you're asking me to do is change my game then. I wanted to do calm, cool, and collect. We went out on that round. It was exactly what we needed. He probably messed himself up a little bit more than he thought he'd messed me up. But I don't think he did any of that on purpose. I think his car just rolled in and he couldn't stop it. And then he didn't know if I was coming in or not coming in or waiting. So took a little time, went and staged the car and won that round. But the final round, running a Torrence, and he's right ahead of me in points. So those are monster races. I've had both great ones and hard ones against him. He's beaten us a lot, but those close ones, like the Houston race you all talked about, 6/10,000ths of a second, beating him on a whole shot, beating him in Indianapolis. I think it was our 10th win there, again by 6/10,000ths of a second. And then that race yesterday, he's got 181 light the round before, a 150 before that, and a 35 against me. It's like, what the heck? Why me?
Right. Why you?
Well, I think that's because he's a real Texan and you're a pretend Texan. He just wants to show you, this is.
Well, the pretend one won, just so you know.
Yeah. How's your confidence now? Going 3 races left. You told me in Indy at the press conference that you'd finally figured out what had been causing the inconsistencies in the car. The car's been more solid. Now that you've been back in the winner's circle, your confidence, I would think, is all-time high coming into what you consider one of your home racetracks with 3 left in the season.
Yeah, I wish we didn't mess up Reading. That hurt. But we're still 100 points out, and we've done this before. I think my confidence is going to be just fine. I think Zippy's, Mike Neff's going to come up tenfold from where it was. I mean, what he just did last weekend, those were good runs. Not only were they good runs, but he was announcing to me what we were going to run, before they ran. And I think that's cool when a crew chief can say, look, this is what it's going to do. We got a handle on it. And when we saw it, in 2018, when Mike Neff got a handle on it, we were low ET of most rounds. So I'm looking forward to it. Do I think we can catch the leaders? I think they're very good cars. I think some big things are going to happen, but 100 points is not that far. It's definitely not enough to feel comfortable. My problem is that there's so many ahead of us. You know, it's hard. It's easy to go, well, we got one guy out there. We got an Austin Prock out there. He's 100 points ahead. Everyone's going to shoot for him and try to knock him down. There's 5 people ahead of me. We got to knock them all off. So I can't control all of that. I hope it falls into the way we want it to be designed. And I hope, like I've always done, that it comes down to me having to do something at the end, not me having to sit back and watch someone lose, you know, if we're going to go for that championship. But it'd be cool to see Joe Maynard get his first championship. You know, he's spent some money. He's put a lot of effort into the sport, and it'd be really neat to watch it happen.
Yeah, I agree. On that note, I want to ask you a little bit about Zippy, but I also want to ask you about having a team car. I know you got to run, so we're going to tighten it up here. But Mike Neff, his whole body language is different. The way he is walking around is different. You guys won a race earlier this year. You put down some good performances. You got to some finals. But when I talked to him on the starting line, you could see he was like, yeah, it's running good, but it's like, you know, and now there's clarity. He's like, it's almost as if his whole demeanor is different. And I'm expecting it's because he now understands what was up with the car. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And you know, again, I don't talk about what happened, what was wrong with the car, but it was a big deal. And because it was a big deal, he can sit back and go, okay, I'm not an idiot, because he was starting to beat himself up. And you know, you start second guessing when you're making decisions. Mike Neff is one of the best 5 minutes before the run guys there are. Walk up, evaluate the track, reach in, turn the knobs. He's as best as anyone I've seen do that. Equal with, you know, an AJ and Alan Johnson. And to have that kind of a talent is special. But when you're turning the knobs and it's doing exactly opposite or random things, you know, for years, it starts to take its toll on you. So yeah, what he found, what the team found, what they put together now is a whole different car. Again, we got 3 races to go. We're going to make them a great 3 races. We're going to enjoy the heck out of it. Do we have enough time to get things done? I don't know.
Alan, final question for Tony.
I'm guessing, Tony, what all you really want is to go into Pomona with a chance, right? I mean, we've seen over the years go into Pomona with a chance. And so you've got 2 races to get yourself close enough that 1.5 points really means something.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I've had some great moments there, and I've had some pretty funny ones too. I'll tell you a quick little story. Me and Antron, the year he won his first championship, we were doing the pit walk together, and he's, you know, good friends and total mutual respect. And he goes, "Oh, Big Daddy, what do you think is going to happen?" I said, "Well, I know what's going to happen. You're going to smoke the tires and win the race." And I said, we've all seen the Titanic, man. Every time we watch it, we're like, there's an iceberg, go around it. But they always hit it. And I'm joking. And we're walking, and he goes out, smokes the tires, and, you know, has to watch me go and go right to the finals. And then, you know, Brandon cuts, I don't know, he 23 light against me or some crazy number, right? Beats me on a whole shot. I have a good 50 light, you know, proud as best I can be. Run low ET the weekend, lose a championship. And I thought to myself, that one's painful, but it would have been more painful for Antron, for him to have to sit back there and watch, because it did come down to that last run, but they had run so darn good all year and done so many great things. For it to come down to that one stupid thing, I think they had a fuel line come off the car, you know, burned his hands up. It's like I could hear him screaming from the finish line. He was a happy camper there.
That was amazing. That was an amazing moment. Historic NHRA moment. You've been a part of so many of them. Tony, I you know, we can talk about the team car at a later date. I know you got to run. Any final thoughts for the audience out there as you get ready for the final 3 races, starting off with the Fall National Stampede of Speed at the Texas Motorplex?
Yeah, man, I parked my bus there already. I'm looking forward to getting down there. The Myers have always been awesome. You know, they built the first super stadium that we've ever had. And, I'm looking forward to getting there. So I'm going to actually go in there Friday or Saturday this week. They have concerts. They run cars down the track. For all the people that can't make it next weekend, you know, it's great to go out there and have a good time. For the people that have never been to a race, it's kind of a little teaser to go out and see what a fuel car sounds like. Can't wait. Man, this is a big, huge race coming up. Lots of friends and lots of family coming, and look forward to it. It's also where I got my first win.
Tremendous. Tony, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Congratulations on your win. 88 on your career. Closing in on that 100. That's something we might be talking about like next year or the year after. Hasn't ever happened before. You'd be the first. Certainly be wild to see you do it. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us. There he goes. Tony Schumacher with us here on WFO Radio. What about that, Alan? No top fuel racer has ever closed in on 100. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that Sunday during the event here when Tony won. And, obviously Forrest has done it in funny car, and obviously Greg has done it in pro stock. There's nobody on a pro stock motorcycle active right now that's really even close, right? And we're not going to be talking about that. Even if it's Gage, we're still not going to be talking about that for another 6 or 7 years. So, but Tony's got an opportunity to be the first one to ever do it in a top fuel car, and he's really the only one that's got it within striking distance right now. So, assuming that, he stays healthy and the team stays, then I don't see any reason why he wouldn't do it in the next 2 or 3 years.
That would be great. Yeah. And I appreciate Joe Maynard and the investment they put in that team. Let's look at the point standings for top fuel, where Antron leads by 34 over Justin. Sean Langdon is 60 back in third. Doug Coletta, 87 back in fourth. I would have said, and I think I did say publicly, as just like earlier, right? I don't like to ever bury anybody in the points because anything can happen. But when Doug lost first round to Sean, that's it for those guys, right? Nope. 87 points is still very manageable with 3 races remaining, and Alan Johnson at 1.5 points at the In-N-Out Burger finals. Yes, there's multiple drivers, but everybody's cutting each other's legs out from under them, battle royal style. So you just don't know what's going to happen. And I would carry that back all the way to maybe even Clay Milliken, 133 points out of the lead.
Well, what Doug and his team need to do is they need to break out of their funk, because they have not been the last 3 races. They have not been the same Doug Coletta, the same Mac Tools car that ran, the first 15 of the year. They need to bust out of whatever it is that's going on over there and get back to focus. And then I think they've got a shot at getting back into it. I would never, if there's a mathematical chance of winning the championship, and I've got Alan Johnson going into Pomona, I like my chances. That's been a good racetrack for him. He's very comfortable there. He's had a lot of great moments there, but they really need to get back to where they were before. And, for Justin Ashley, I reached out to Mike Green about what happened to Justin. Watching the car, it was like something just knocked. And I really thought it was either an ignition malfunction or some kind of a fuel issue. But Mike said, no, it was actually a clutch malfunction. The throw-out bearing never moved. So when he hit the gas, the car got out there about 100 feet or so. And basically with 0 clutch load at that point, put 6 cylinders out, and that was that. But, that they're going to be on top of that coming back next week. He's got himself a really, really good race car. And they, kind of like Doug Coletta, they just need to get back to what they were doing before we started into the countdown to the championship. But I think he's certainly going to be a big part of the conversation before we figure out who gets the big trophy at Pomona.
Well, yes, you'd think so. He's 34 against Clay in the first round, whole shot victory. Clay outran him. Justin left person won the race. Second round against Langdon, and those two have been hammering on each other all year long. Justin's 39 on the tree against Torrence. He's 53, and Steve was 184. Okay, Steve is entitled to miss one every once in a while, right? It happens. But if Justin comes up short this year, they're going to look at that one and be like, oh my God, our opponent has a 180 reaction time and we somehow don't come around. And that's going to be a big part of the story. You just don't know right now. If they're holding the trophy at the end of the year, it's like, hey, wow, remember that weird thing that happened? What an anomaly. If they lose it by a couple of points, they're going to look at that and feel terrible about it. I want to talk TJ Zizzo for a quick second. These guys are amazing. The small-time team, the little team that could, part-time, right? Mike Kern, TJ, the volunteer staff, got Joe Christman, got Dustin Hine. They know how to qualify number 1. They know how to do that now, and they're doing it on a pretty regular basis. Now they got to learn how to win the race.
And, they're working on it. They've got a good race car. The Sunday consistency is something that they need to do. And whether it is, a quick turnaround, whether it is, a heat issue, whether it is, who knows, because the cars act differently when you're doing the quick turnaround. There's more heat in the clutch when you come up than there is on Friday or Saturday in qualifying or Sunday first round. There are just different things that you've got to learn how to compensate for. Having Ron Tolber in the corner certainly helps with that stuff, even though he was not physically present. He still was in touch with the team, from his birthday party at Bora Bora, which when I grew up, I want to be Ron Tolber. But no, they've got a great race car. I wish we could see more of them on tour, but part of me thinks that if we did, they would kind of lose some of the mystique that they have. You know what I mean? I mean, it's when you go, okay, is TJ coming this weekend? Yes. And then somebody goes, oh, geez, right? I'm going to be 17th. I'm going to miss the field because those guys from Chicago are going to come down and qualify in the top half and take my spot. So I think, what they're doing right now, I think is great. I think they're having a ton of fun doing it. And I'm not sure, as you mentioned, the volunteer crew, I'm not sure how many guys could go out and do this, more or full time if they put together the deal, or would even want to, because there's got to be something fun about just coming in, being the spoiler, and then disappearing again.
Closest race of the season, Sean Reed, Tony Stewart, Smoke been running better, feeling better, driving great, just racing gods telling him no, against Sean Reed, who had been told no a lot by the racing gods over the course of a great season. We've spoken with him a couple of times, and they've done nothing like really wrong, right? He's just getting beaten on tough runs. And he told me at the start of the weekend, kind of one of his home tracks, as you had mentioned on the mic, that trying to elevate, like, all right, we're here now you got to push further. And Wendland was motivating him on his lights, and he's motivating Wendland, and they went out and they did it by 1/10,000th of 1 second. Like that, the luck bank payoff is 1/10 thou, and they had a good race.
Well, they got a little bit more aggressive in qualifying too, and Sean and Rob Wedland had a little discussion after Charlotte about look, we all need to elevate, we all need to make this better if we're going to get better, and they did. So coming in, qualifying solid, you still as Tony pointed out, when there's a Torrence car qualified 16th, it ain't like you're going to get a duck because you qualified higher in the field. Everybody in the field was capable of jumping up and winning that race. But when you qualify in the top half of the field, I do think it gives you a little bit more confidence. Whether you're driver, whether you're tuner, whether you're whoever, when you pull up the start line and look at, okay, that might be a championship caliber team. That might be a championship caliber driver. But you know what? We outran them yesterday. And all we have to do is outrun them again today. And, it ended up being a tremendous race if you're Sean Reed and a heartbreaking race if you're Tony Stewart. But that's, we saw a 1 thou margin of victory. We saw a 1/10 thou margin of victory. We saw great racing. And I think it bears pointing out, too, that there was a pretty big investment made by Curtis Francois, the guy who owns this place, to repave the track from the concrete to the finish line, brand new pavement. And a lot of times you come in, new asphalt. It could be, a little green, a little iffy, well, we had cloud cover, which certainly helped, but we had a good, even, fair racetrack. Both lanes you were capable of running good in, as we saw all weekend long, and as we saw with great side-by-side racing.
All right, let's talk pro stock. Yes, Mr. Francois. Every time we go there, there's an investment. That's all I ask, right? Every track operator out there, it's just as simple as that. Like one investment every single time we come. And in 10 years, the sport will be in a great spot. And they've got more coming, which is awesome. Awesome to hear. That track continues to evolve, and the fans always pack the place, and they're so friendly, and they're all like keep up with the sport too. They watch on NHRA TV and they watch WFO. So many people are coming up saying what's up about WFO and thanking us for the show. I always love that. Let's talk to the pro stock fans out there. Dallas Glenn, Aaron Stanfield, the final four, Erica, Greg, Aaron, and Dallas. They're the top four in points. But the top two, like these young guns now that we've been hyping for a couple of years, it looks like, and I'm not counting the red car out, and I'm not counting Greg out, but these two young men who have come up very similarly to each other and have such a great mutual respect, it looks like it's turning into Dallas versus Aaron for the championship.
Well, that's certainly what it's been the last few events anyhow. And, I was kind of joking with Dallas at the end of the racetrack after qualifying, and he screwed up because, the number 4 qualifiers won the last 3 races. And I don't know, a bunch of them this year. But number 4 seems to be the magic place in qualifying. And he qualified second. And when he made the run, and Dallas ran very early in the session, he came down, he looked at the deal, and he said, okay, well, she's going to move around me. he should step up, and it's going to work out perfectly. I'm going to be 4. And it ended up not happening that way. Aaron Stanfield was in the 4 spot, but those two, worked their way through. The only thing that disappointed me about the ladder, and especially with the big 4, is I really like it better when the KB and elite cars run in the semis, right? I want it to be Erica and Greg on one side and Aaron and Dallas on the other, or I just want it to be a KB car against an elite car. I, hate when you got the 2 KBs on one side, the 2 elites on the other side, because then you don't have that big marquee matchup, the big rivalry matchup until the final round. I'd much rather see the rivals go at it in the semis. And then in Alan's little perfect fantasy world, I want one of each to make it to the final. So we've got that rivalry going again. But the way it worked out this week, Aaron took on Erica and got the better of her when she watered the tires up, and Dallas took on Greg and outran him. So those two end up in the final again.
The final 4, the worst reaction time was at 29. They're on a mission, and we'll see where it is. But point standings wise, it's 31 between Dallas and Aaron. Aaron is 31 back, then 90 back to Erica, and 116 back to Greg. So that's kind of exactly what we're talking about. Like maybe Dallas will go out, but Aaron and Dallas are going to go out, right? Like that's what's going to be tough. But 3 races to go. Like I always say, I never count out the red car. Greg Anderson is determined, but if it were to become Dallas and Aaron, I think there's something for everybody there, right? Like all these people have been saying, well, it's the same people every year. And it's like, well, it ain't the same people every year. You got 2 young racers, both vying for their first world championship. And they're both the old school racer that everybody wants to go back to, the Warren Johnsons and the Bob Gliddens. Isn't this exactly that? I mean, for gosh sakes, Dallas drives the rig. He drives the rig there, and he's running for a world championship. I don't know when the last time, maybe it was the last couple of years, I don't know, that the guy that drives the semi is the guy who won the world championship. You probably have that stat. I don't.
No, I don't. It hasn't happened in a while. I can promise you that. But both of them are driving with a very high level of confidence right now. And both of them have teams that are just not making mistakes. They pull up to the starting line. They've got a good car under them. They know they've got a good car under them. All they've got to do is concentrate on doing the job that they need to do. And both of them, as I said, driving right now with a very high rate of confidence. And I really believe that the champion will be one of those 2. Am I going to fall out of my chair if Erica jumps up? No, absolutely not. As you said, you just never count her out. As good as she's been over the years, as much as she's won. I feel the same way about Greg. If he did it, it wouldn't I wouldn't faint. But I really believe that right now, Dallas and Aaron look like those 2 are going to battle it out between themselves. And 3 races left. So if somebody wants to make a move, it's time to start making it.
Time to start making it. That is right. And, if there's something to be said, they say it on the track and go out and win the next couple races, and you'll be right in the conversation. Sean has a quick question. Might as well ask it. He wants to know if pro stock teams bring backup cars like the fuel teams do.
No. As a general rule, no.
It's like KB probably has an extra car amongst all the cars. And Elite probably has an extra car somewhere sitting around amongst all the cars. But yeah, it's not like they got 2 in there just ready to roll out. All right, Pro Stock Motorcycle. And then we talk a little Lucas Oil Series. But it was a big storyline that it was the first time in a calendar year that Gage Herrera had not led the points. And he abruptly changed the storyline and erased it and took back the points lead, just like last year.
Well, he had a bad event. Matt had a good event. And, when you come in after the reset for the countdown to the championship, the points are close. So it flip-flopped. And then this week, Matt had Matt stubbed his toe. Simple as that. Left the door open. Gage was able to take advantage of it. He's back in the point lead. We'll see, what happens. Gage and Matt clearly have the 2 best motorcycles out there right now. There are a couple of them that are in the neighborhood. Richard Gadsden obviously is running well. John Hall's got a good bike, and Angie's got a good bike, and Chris Bostic has made some nice runs. The Alligator guys have made some nice runs. But it's going to be Gage and or Matt. I think if I was the one putting together the odds for play in NHRA, it's going to be Gage and or Matt who ends up with a trophy at the end of the year.
Yes, but we don't know. Like I couldn't handicap it. You'd think Gage is the favorite. Gage is favored, but not by a ton. I think they have closed the parity gap. Matt doesn't think so. Matt thinks the Vance and Hines bikes still have something that they can turn on when they need to. But what we've seen on the racetrack is it's going either way. And, Gage went red in Reading, and that can happen more. You're going to have to go through the gauntlet and deal with the pressure to be the champion. But it's going to be wild. Like, it's setting up just like we like it, right? Other winners this weekend. Pro Modified, Congruity HR Pro Modified, presented by LearnEV Plus. Stan Shelton, his first win in what I'm labeling the championship that nobody wants. Because everybody that's in contention for the championship finds a way to either lose first round, top 3 in points, lost first round in Charlotte. Ken Cortuccio, DNQ in Worldwide Technology Raceway. Like, it's brutal for the points leader, the championship that nobody wants.
It is. And, nobody's been able to put together just a consistent run over the course of, most of the season. It's been, the competition level is so high and the car count is so high, right? You can't come in here thinking to yourself, we're going to experiment a little bit here in qualifying because we need to figure something out for race day. Because if you come in and do that, you're going to end up being a spectator on race day. So that's made it very, very difficult. And, and again, nobody has taken clear control. So it's really fun to watch because it's just such a wide open affair. I still think, if in Alan's little fantasy world again, we need a turbo car or two to come out here and just bring that power adder back. But no, it's been very fun to watch because it is just so wide open as far as the competition goes right now.
Super intense, super fun. And Stan Shelton, he's behind the scenes sponsoring the events and working so hard with Culp Lumber. And it was great to see him get a win. Comp Eliminator was Ryan Warder. Jimmy Hidalgo won Super Stock. Stock Eliminator was Ross Ponville. Is that right? Or is that flipped? Allison Pros in Super Comp. That was a big deal. Allison Pros, the 101st female winner. And she said on the stage, she reminded me, and it all she goes, the last time I was here, I was on my roll cage in the lights. And now I come back and I win the race. Like, moments like that. Wow. What she went through, pulling in the gate, going out there, pulling those belts tight, going down the racetrack to light the scoreboard and hold the Wally at the end of the day, become part of drag racing history, the 101st different female winner. Like, hats off to Allison. Tremendous.
Yeah, it was cool. And, the Honey Creek team, they travel with a lot of race cars. They've got, very, very nice equipment and very first-class stuff. And they always run hard and run solid out here. It was great to see Allison join her dad as a national event winner and, to come back and conquer a place. It's kind of like Angie coming back here on Pro Stock Motorcycle. After she'd made a couple of runs down the racetrack, she said that demon was finally behind her after last year here when she crashed.
Yes. Well, and the first couple of runs, she was, acknowledging that she was still feeling it a little bit. It was Jimmy and Super Stock, Ross and Stock Eliminator. Ross was amazing on stage. He was not looking at anything but the trophy. He was looking at the Wally. And I'm standing there like, wow, this is what the Wally is. Like, this guy can't stop looking at it. He's like, this is mine. I can't believe it. This is mine. This is mine. It was just so cool to see. What a great moment. Jim Glenn, top dragster. Chris Whitfield, Super Gas. Cowboy, Mark Powick wins the race, wins the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown. If I wasn't headed to Dallas in like 12 hours, we are definitely going to connect with Mark Powick about his world championship. But I don't know about you, but for this guy who raced so many years in pro stock, came back with this in mind, fought for it, and won it, I'm very happy for the man.
Well, yeah, and it was a pretty emotional day, being the final event for the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown. We got into the semifinals. There were 3 drivers still alive in the points, and all 3 of them controlled their own destiny. If any of those 3 would have been the one to win the race, they would have won the championship. And actually, Stephen Bell got beat on his side of the ladder. Then that left it down to the other 2. And when Mark won the semifinals, he didn't have to win the race to win the championship, but he did have his destiny in his own hands. And that made him the champ. So, congratulations to him. I think it's interesting, the second Dodge to win And if you remember, the first Dodge was one of the Don Schumacher factory house cars. That was when Leah won the championship a few years back, driving her drag pack. So I think there's kind of a little bit of a full circle thing there as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, good for the Dodges, the Don Schumacher tribute car, just a lot of stuff. And Aaron Stanfield wins in factory X, and we didn't get a chance to talk with Aaron because he was going to get ready for the Pro Stock final, trying to double up once again. But Aaron Stanfield having a tremendous year in two categories. Any final thoughts as we move on from Worldwide Technology Raceway on the national event level? There's a reason you're there, and anywhere in the region should listen up. Is today just a test? Tell us a little bit about the sound effects we're hearing.
Yes, today is test and tune. We actually start tomorrow. It's going to be a double divisional. There is also a regional event that's going to be contested here. We'll have the alcohol cars here over the weekend. Division championship up for grabs. The world is still, there's still a couple of guys that are battling it out for the world championship. But today is test and tune. Everybody that wants a couple extra runs at the track are getting it. But there are going to be 600 plus cars here, and it'll be a full weekend of racing starting tomorrow.
That is tremendous. Any final thoughts, big picture stuff, points championship, as we get ready to head on to the Stampede of Speed, which I am leaving for on Thursday and can handle all the country concerts and whatnot. And then just like that, Dallas, Vegas, Pomona, Allen. A season is now reduced to just 3 races remaining.
Well, 3 national events. There's still, this big one, and of course the big regional out in Vegas, in between Vegas and Pomona. So yeah, we're getting down to it. The pressure's ramping up, and when you look at it, it just, don't make mistakes. That's the key right now. If you still want to get in and be part of this championship battle, don't make mistakes because everything is magnified. If you fumble a ball in the first quarter, you got an hour to make up for it. If you fumble a ball and after the 2-minute warning, that's the problem. And we're down to pretty much the 2-minute warning in the NHRA tour. So you better not fumble now.
What if you fumble the ball every 2 minutes, like the Miami Dolphins did last night? Is that bad?
Yeah, that's bad. If you did that, then we're not talking about you as far as, championship contender anyway.
Yes. No, clearly not. Poor Dolphins. Very sad. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you for making the time for us here today.
Thanks, Joe. Always a pleasure. And travel safe. Enjoy Dallas, and hopefully we'll talk next week.
Appreciate you. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here at WFO Radio. Thank you, Alan. And yes, if you're out there near Worldwide Technology Raceway this weekend, why not go out there and enjoy some divisional racing? Watch Tony Stewart, Hunter Green, and everybody battle it out. It is going to be a whole lot of fun. And then all those divisional racers are going to be headed to Dallas for Monday and Tuesday for Division 4 points race that's going to be happening as part of the Stampede of Speed. That was kind of, I don't want to say hastily, but rapidly rescheduled as part of the Stampede of Speed. That'll be happening on Monday and Tuesday. Now, speaking of the Stampede of Speed, and I want everybody's comments in the comment section. Load your comments into the comment section. Your thoughts on the race, your thoughts on what lies ahead this season. Maybe you think I'm counting someone out that shouldn't be counted out. Maybe you think I'm giving someone an opportunity that doesn't deserve the opportunity because they're out. I would love to hear from you. But right now, I want to tell you a little bit about the Stampede of Speed. Because if you're anywhere near Dallas, if you're in Texas, if you have friends that are in the area, if you're one of those people who is not afraid to just pack a bag, jump a flight, and go do something special, this has become my, yearly journey. This is year 3 of me being the, social media host, the host of the Stampede of Speed. And I'm there for the full deal. And it's one of the best things I get to do because it's concerts and it's racing, and we've got all these racing fans there, but we also have people who have no idea about drag racing at all, and it's our chance to earn their appreciation. So first up, Friday, the Stars of Texas Music Festival. This is Friday. Wade Bowen, Randall King, Roger Krieger, and Clayton Mullen going to be out there on Friday. It's now a 3-day concert. Saturday, this is the one that I'm kind of looking forward to. because when I first got my start in radio, we worked at Sports Radio 560 QAM in the rat-infested, bug-infested studios, as named by the late, great Hank Goldberg of ESPN and horse racing fame. In the rat-infested, bug-infested studio, there were 2 radio stations. On the right side was Sports Radio 560 QAM. On the left side was 99.9 Kiss Country, where my great friends Darlene Evans and Gator and all these like FM DJs. And we would look through the glass and they would be having such a good time. And we're talking sports, talking about the Dolphins and Jimmy Johnson and all that stuff. But because of that, I kind of became a fan. This is happening like 1996 to 1999, right? I became somewhat a fan of 90s country. And so on Saturday, you've got, Little Texas, Neil McCoy, Shenandoah, and Tracy Lawrence. They signed that last year. Tracy Lawrence going to be a big part. I like Tracy Lawrence. I thought, like, man, this is going to be great. And then Sunday, you've got, George Burge, the Eli Young Band, and Lady A. Lady A, who, Lady Antebellum? They changed their name to Lady A, which I understand. That's kind of a long name. But what is also going to be happening is we're going to be running nitro cars and we're going to be doing exhibitions and we'll be on the stage and in between bands. Then we go over to the drag strip and we have it on the jumbo screens and all the fans, like you got like 20,000 country music fans there and they're watching what's going on the track. We got nitro cars, we got jet cars. It's been spectacular. And every time there's all these concert goers that are like, we didn't know about this sport. And that's the whole point of the Stampede of Speed. We didn't know about this sport. What is this? This is drag racing. What is it? This is cars going fast as they possibly can for either 1,000 foot or 1,320 feet. And it's really exciting. It's really fun. And then people come to the race days later. And so we'll be doing that. So you got the Stars of Texas. And then, there's a lantern release, which is amazing. We're going to have the divisional race Monday and Tuesday. But the one thing that I want everybody to know about is the Champions Dinner, which happens on Wednesday night. It's the 3rd annual Champions Dinner. And last year's race winners pick the meal. And, you got to pay to get in. But you get the meal. And you get to enjoy like cigar rolling and bourbon tasting, just all kinds of great stuff. So why would you not get in a little early? Last year's winners, Leah and Matt, Erica and Gage, will be picking the meal. There'll be a cocktail hour, plated dinner, photo ops, all kinds of Q&As hosted by me, and a post-dinner concert at the Champions Dinner. It happens on Wednesday. And you can go online to stampedeofspeed.com and get your tickets. You know what I'm going to do for all you guys? I'm going to drop that right in the chat section right now because there's got to be somebody out there. Trust me. I put my reputation out there a lot because everything that I tell you about is good. It's real easy to attach my personal rep to things that I'm promoting when I make sure that the stuff is good in advance. Hopefully that's one of my hallmarks. And if it's not, send me an email and tell me why, and we'll follow up. But there's the schedule. And at the schedule, link, you can purchase your tickets. The Champions Dinner is one of the greatest single events that's happening in all of drag racing and maybe even all of motorsports. Where else are you going to get to press the flesh, hang out, eat a wonderful meal in a beautiful atmosphere, spend, as long as you want, but at least 2.5 hours right in the center of the sport of drag racing, enjoying the stories of victory and defeat from the previous year, hearing music, and consuming the finest, right? If you're the type of person that likes a premium experience, but you don't have to dress all fancy, like you can if you want, and I recommend it, and I will be, but I'm the host of the deal. So why not come on out? The Champions Dinner, something that you need to get in on and be a part of. And if you're not, like I'm telling you, you're missing out. Then we're going to have obviously the Jegs All-Stars. Jegs All-Stars are amazing. And then the Battle of the Saddle, the huge bonus fund for Friday night at the Texas Motorplex. It is going to be massive. And then obviously Saturday and Sunday of the Fall Nationals, they speak for themselves. So go online, hit that link that I sent you, and get your tickets for the Texas Motorplex. My bucket list for the NHRA is Vegas for 4 wide and the Texas race, and then Pomona. Yeah. Champions Dinner, best thing ever. It is. It's the best thing ever. All right, let me tell you about a couple of my sponsors, the people who make it possible for me to go WFO, and then we'll get back into your comments. I want to see your comments in the comment section, like who's out, who's in, who's got a shot, who made you angry. Someone who never makes you angry is Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Sportsman Racers, Lucas Oil Racers, anybody going down there, if you would like to order some Rodak's coffee and just pick it up while you're there, call Marvin right now, 817-924-6821. Marvin's going to the racetrack and his shop is in Fort Worth. So why don't you order like 50 pounds of coffee and you'll never have to order coffee ever again. 817-924-6821. If you want a great new grill, if you want, grilling tools and tips and information, wood chips, all that stuff, he's got it all in stock. RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Our great friends, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. How great is it that Jack Beckman, a former instructor of Frank Hawley's, is now going on and he's in the championship fight for Funny Car? Love it. I appreciate him answering my question, by the way, about, the word bitter was thrown out there and he didn't shy away from it. Like when the gate to the playground is closed for you. I appreciate that, Jack. Frank Hawley, give you the gate to the playground. They'll give you the key. It's called the Dragster Adventure. You can drive a dragster. It makes a great Christmas gift. I say it every year. Hopefully, some of my audience is taking me up on this and using this as a Christmas gift, maybe even for yourselves. The Dragster Adventure, FrankHawley.com. Shout out to our wonderful friends at samtech.edu. The future of motorsports and drag racing and machining and everything is coming through the machinists at Samtech. Foggit. Get yourself a can of Foggit for your house. Available at Summit. Available at Foggit.com. Available at Amazon. Get yourself a can of this fogging oil to protect the inside of your high-performance racing engine, to use as a lubricant for your sliding glass door. Whatever you want to do it. It's more about supporting WFO. But if you've got a race car, my gosh, you got to do it. You got to do it. Bernie Speed Shop, 100,000 square feet. Bernie's up there in Ocala, Florida. Frame off restorations. They buy and sell. They sell on consignment, guys. They sell on consignment. If you've got a muscle car and you want to sell it, you could put a for sale sign on it, stick it out in the corner, or you could have Bernie's do it. And they're going to do a better job for you. BURNYZZ.com. HusseyPerformance.net. Let me tell you about David Allen and these guys. Have you checked out HusseyPerformance.net? First of all, they're contingency sponsors for Top Alcohol Dragster, Funny Car, Top Dragster, and Top Sportsman in the NHRA. So get your decals and run your Hussey Performance gaskets. But it's not just copper head gaskets anymore. Oil pan, valve cover, header gaskets, etc. They work strategically with USA-based material manufacturers to source material to hold up to the highest of tolerances. The guys at Hussey Performance are doing a great job. And if you want to get a hold of them, I'll give you David Allen's phone number right now. 724-318-8292. They're changing the game. They started out as quality hot copper head gaskets used by many of the top teams out there. And now they are expanding. They're a contingency sponsor in PDRA and Top Sportsman and Top Dragster as well. And everything is made in-house in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Great job, Hussey Performance. CWT Industries, balance machines. If it rotates, it can be balanced. Turbochargers. Think about all the things that need to be balanced. CWT Industries makes the machines. I'll put you together with any of my sponsors. Email me, joe@wforadio.com. Just put sponsor question and I will get back with you and we can link up. Shout out to Matt in Australia, Torque Calibration Services of Australia. 35 years in business. To all of our fans down under in the New South Wales area, you got to use these guys. And of course, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, FTIperformance.com, Paul Lee's company. There's a great episode of Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hull featuring Paul Lee. And Paul talking about like his whole origin stories. You're going to want to check that out when it hits the YouTube. Total Seal Piston Rings, of course, and Jesse Converters, making this thing possible. I appreciate all our sponsors. Maybe you don't need them right now, but the day that you do, please consider these folks. Not only are they the best in the business, but they understand that this show is the conduit to the race fans out there, and we appreciate them. Just got off the phone with Gary Stinnett. Lots of discussion about Project Pontiac. The new goal is for the Project Pontiac engine to be in the Foggett booth at PRI. Talk about ramping up the stress. Project Pontiac, the engine. So now, like, it was going to be a racy engine, and now it's got to be like a fancy engine, which it was going to be a fancy engine from jump. But how exciting is that? So it's going to make it a little tougher to get Project Pontiac, but now we know if Project Pontiac engine is going to be in the Foggett booth at PRI, everybody better make a plan, come by and see it. That's for certain. Merch on sale, Morris Motorsports stuff discounted, 35% off. Everything is 35% off, or was. Hit the link. It's right there in the chat section. But get yourself some WFO gear. I think it makes a great gift. And we are still working on the Project Pontiac stuff. In the meantime, we got Wide F and Open hoodies, and we got the Miami Hollywood gear, which everyone loves so much. Our best-selling gear, the retro Miami Hollywood Speedway t-shirts. And people from around the country and around the world are representing Miami Hollywood Speedway with these shirts. And it's awesome. I feel very proud that we were able to do that. But get yourself some WFO gear as we extend. And then there's the classic one, available only at Hot Rod Randy's Horsepower headquarters. And they're selling them for $10, which is just crazy. $10. Way to go, Randy. Thank you so much, Randy Lynn, trying to get the word of WFO out there. And look at Kevin Skinner in the Black Hammer. Says it brought him luck to win the U.S. Nationals, and Bo has won 3 U.S. Nationals wearing the shirt. So, you know, why would you want to spend $10 on a shirt that gives people luck to win the U.S. Nationals? Why would you do that? What kind of person would do that? All right, let's see what everybody's got to say. JP, our engine out of the dragster, will be at the Maxima Racing Oils booth at PRI. All right, we're going on an engine tour. We'll do like, okay, coming up on your left in the Foggett booth is the Project Pontiac, and coming up on the right in the Maxima Racing Oils booth is JP Gutierrez's alcohol engine. I like that. Let's see. Frisky. Great show today, as always. Thank you, Joe and guests. Jack Beckman, Tony Schumacher. And that's what WFO Radio is all about. Oh, look at these guys. JP, HusseyPerformance.net customers. And you're getting an endorsement from JP Gutierrez. Thank you very much, JP, for piling on there. Now, David came on board with WFO years ago when we were audio only. And now we're back video. They got a new product. They're going other types of gaskets, not just copper. We're telling the tale. Scott Purley thinks Hector Arana Jr. is going to make some noise in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I think Hector Arana could make some noise in Pro Stock Motorcycle. You got to win those big races. Fast Jack. The other guy, Matt, how do you not like Austin Prock, though? That's the thing. It's a really tough deal. What a story. You know, the thing about drag racing is that there are more than one deserving person. And you think about John and Chris Cunningham and Tim Fabrizi and Danny Hood and all that those guys went through, that whole team, all the guys on the team, the emotion of seeing the car on the top end at Richmond, the emotion for everybody wondering about John coming back around, picking Jack, Robert Height too, making the call. Wouldn't it be a great story for Jack Beckman to win John Force's 17th world title? It would be a great story. That would be so great. It would be so great for the sport. Oh my gosh. That's the story, right? Is it? Jimmy Prock, Austin Prock, Thomas Prock, racing together as a family all season long on a mission, dominating the season, winning everything. Austin Prock bringing it to a next level. People really want to see them come up short again, a third consecutive season by just a couple of points, even if it's to their team car. Like, what have they done to deserve that heartbreak? What have they done to deserve to feel the burn and the sting of losing another championship? I don't know, man. They deserve it. They deserve it so far, but that's not how it works. You got to go out there and do it. You got to go out there and take it. You got to go out there like it's not about deserve. It's about who does and who does not. And so as much as they have, like Austin said it best, job's not done. And for those that don't know, normally I do the Joe's Eye View, but I did not do that today because we had so much going on. But maybe in the future, Austin Prock was absolutely genuine in his happiness for John Force's car with Jack Beckman winning to win that race. You know, I am a student of body language. I like to watch people and try to determine what they're thinking. Absolutely. I admit it. What are they thinking? What would I be thinking? Would I be happy? Would I not? Like, I wonder, just wondering, student of people, studying people, thinking about people. And it was very obvious that Austin Prock was very happy that that car won the race. Fired up. Not a second of like, oh man, this might mean our championship is in question. Not even for a millisecond did that kid think about that, which I respect. Champions dinner, best thing, et cetera, and so on. Great Ignition show. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, we had a good time on Ignition. Sue Morris, South Carolina, right in the middle of power outages and tough stuff. I'm saying Tony Stewart gets a win before the end of the season. I hope so. I would love that. They're doing everything right, man. The team is coming on. They're running their best at the end of the season. You get clipped by 110 thou. You know, what do you feel about that? Do you feel bad about that? Like, I think you just go to the next race and say, that's drag racing. 110 thou. The closest race of the year. So just so you know, for those of you scoring at home, we saw the closest race of the year and the quickest run of the year at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Great race. Great race. Beckman should definitely get to run out the championship. The stuff going on with Bahrain 1 seemed a little scandalous, as there wasn't a reason to play musical cars. I don't know. I disagree. Why would Khaled Al-Belushi break a rear end on the starting line when he's the points leader? If you're trying to orchestrate it, Justin Bond loses to Khaled, and Khaled goes on and wins the race and extends his points lead and is in great shape. So I don't think so, unless, you know, like they had a plan and the rear end or the problem in the car decided against it. But I'm not going to question their motive. And looking at the point standings, which I have right here, Khaled's the leader by 12 over Justin Bond. Jordan Lazick, what is that? 24 back. So, you know, you got the top three are all Bahrain 1 cars right there, but they're all close. Jordan Lazick could win the title. Justin Bond could win the title. Khaled could win the title. Ken Cortuccio right in the middle of it. In fact, Pro Modified still very open. What a great year it has been for Pro Mod. It's been an amazing season of Pro Modified. Thanks, Leah. Lee, appreciate you. And everybody else out there. Another one in the books. This is the final show of the week for WFO. The Ignition podcast is available. Audio only. A lot of fun watching the Dolphins. Oh my gosh, what an abomination. A stench of cow manure looms over this performance by the Dolphins. Now, that's not me. That's a quote by the late, great Jim Mad Dog Mandich from Michigan, who was our play-by-play voice for so many years. Mad Dog, we did talk radio with Mad Dog for years at WQAM and listened to him on our local radio as the Dolphins play-by-play a color voice. And that was one of the things he would say. A stench of cow manure looms over this performance by the Dolphins. Not the kind of thing that you can borrow and use in the world of drag racing. I don't think I would get very far out of the tower if I said that the stench of cow manure loomed over someone's performance at the track. That would probably get me in trouble. You never know, though. Fans love to forget people fix races in all motorsports. Just the nature of it all. Well, and that's why Formula One made it legal. When you run the process, the flow chart, if you were second place in a championship to your team car, and you will both together win more money than you've ever won for your entire team and enough to keep your team going for a couple of years, but you defeat your team car and lose the championship to someone else, would you really do that? And the answer is no, you wouldn't. No way. I don't think. And that's why Formula One made it legal. Now, it is different when there's like multiple drivers doing it, which I hope the way things are looking this year, I don't see that on the radar. honestly, the way it's all playing out, I feel like we're going to avoid that here in 2024. All right, guys, WFO, appreciate you. Send me an email, hit me up on social. See you next week. Dallas, Big D.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to watchpttv.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.